What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel. Bowl season is finally upon us, and I'm starting out with the bowl game that's kicking everything off. We are doing a preview prediction video for every single bowl game that's going to take place during the 2023-2024 college football bowl season, and the Myrtle Beach Bowl is kicking things off. It's the Georgia Southern Eagles and the Ohio Bobcats. We'll talk about everything to do with this game in just a little bit, but before we do, thank you. You guys absolutely killed it with the support that the channel saw and the growth that the channel has seen over this past regular season. It's been crazy to me. Continue to show your support for bowl season by interacting with the channel in any way you can, because any way you guys interact with the channel helps to support it, whether that's simply just by watching the video, hitting the subscribe button, or ringing the bell, or just leaving a like, commenting, sharing my video to your friends and family, whatever have you. You guys have killed it with your support this year. It's meant the world to me, so thank you so much for supporting what I'm doing here on YouTube. But that's enough about me. Let's dive on into everything to do with the Eagles and Bobcats in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. But before we do, I'll put this disclaimer in front of every bowl game preview prediction I record. Sometimes during bowl season, well, not actually sometimes, it is very tricky to kind of keep track of who's opting out, who's transferring, and everything like that. So I'm going to do my best here, but if I happen to make a mistake, Eagles fans, Bobcats fans, let me know in the comment section down below, maybe something that I may have missed. But with all of that out of the way, let's dive on into predicting the Myrtle Beach Bowl. We are going to start out with the stats that both these teams have put up this season. We're going to start with the designated road team. That's the Georgia Southern Eagles. And offensively, there's not a whole lot. Well, I should say offensively and defensively, there's just not a whole lot to speak of in terms of players that are transferring or leaving that provided some significant stats and significant production to this team. So let's start out with the offense. They are led by former Tulsa quarterback Davis Brin. He has 3,431 yards, 22 touchdowns on the season, on 64% completion percentage. But the issue with this offense comes in the turnovers, right? They have 26 turnovers on the year. 16 of those are interceptions from Davis Brin. They have 10 fumbles. And look, they have a lot of explosive playmakers. White and Arnold are two very good running backs in that room. And you got three very talented wide receivers, if not more. Hood, Burgess, Cobb, all those guys are very, very talented in their own right, but the issue with this offense comes in turnovers. They are very, very turnover prone. You're going to have to limit those against a Bobcat defense that has been very, very good. And again, we'll talk more about them later, but you also have to be able to limit the pressure to the quarterback. You look at that defensive number down there. The Bobcats are a team that likes to rush the quarterback. You got to be able to protect Davis Brin, and Davis Brin has to do a good job of not turning the football over. Otherwise, this is the team that can move the ball down the field. They're really good on third downs. Georgia Southern is definitely a very, very potent team. They did not win a game in November. They're going to be looking to get back on track after starting at their season 6-2. They have fallen to 6-6. Defensively, though, this is kind of the reason why Georgia Southern maybe lost those 4 games in November, and because of that, maybe fell a little bit below what people expected of this team, especially after this team went and started 6-2, right? This is a defense that just doesn't do a great job at holding teams off of the scoreboard. Because this is an offense that turns the football over so much, this is a defense that lets up a ton of yards. They're not fantastic at defending the run. They're really not great at defending the pass either. They're not super fantastic on third down. However, they do have their really good moments there. Their third down defense does have some really good things, and they can generate pressure to the quarterback. However, probably not as much as, or probably not as often as they've needed to as of late to be able to pull out some wins. You're going to have to do that here, and I'll talk about why in a second. But this team, while also wanting to limit turnovers, you got to force the Bobcats into some precarious situations that force them to turn the football over as well, because this is an Ohio team that is seeing pretty much every big producer offensively enter the transfer portal or opt out. And more often than not, it's the transfer portal. That's where Curtis Rourke is. That's their starting quarterback. Had an ACL injury last year, came into this year healthy, feeling good, and then hurt himself in the first game of the season. But for Curtis Rourke, still was that starter for the majority of this year. 2,207 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 5 picks. And the backup quarterback, CJ Harris, has been dealing with medical things all season long. So this team is going to be led by Parker Navarro. Now, entering this game, did have a lot of great skill position players to work with. However, a lot of them have entered the transfer portal. Your top 2 leading rushers, C.A. Bangura and O'Shawn Allison, are in the portal, combined around 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns between those two. And then Curtis Rourke, again, that starting quarterback, was the team's third leading rusher with 219 yards and 4 touchdowns. So Parker Navarro actually is the team's fourth leading rusher. So where the running back production comes from in this game is going to be a mystery. But Parker Navarro does have some pretty solid weapons, even though Miles Cross has also moved on from the Bobcats program. Sam Wiglas is a very, very talented target. You also have Tyler Walton, a couple tight ends there that are still really good as well. So even though this is a Bobcat team that has a ton of people entering the portal, there still is some good talent here. However, that production in the running back room is definitely going to be a big question, and it's also a big mystery what they're going to get, or what exactly they're going to get from Parker Navarro. He's only thrown 10 passes all season, but what Navarro has to do is continue to do things that the Bobcats have done all season long, and that's limit turnovers, convert your third down opportunities, and protect Parker Navarro. That's what this offensive line has got to do. They've been able to do it all season long. You got to do it, especially here. Let's talk about the defense on the other side here for the Bobcats. Not as many big key contributors gone. However, you do have a defensive lineman in Tristan Cox, I believe around 9 or 10 tackles so far this season. But your second leading tackler in Kie Thompson had 94 tackles this year. He is leaving this team. So definitely a huge point to worry about there defensively. He was a huge part, especially what this team did in the rush defense. Now, this rush defense still has a lot of key pieces there, and it's still going to be really, really good. The secondary is still loaded. It has a lot of good talent, and this is the defense all season long that has forced turnovers. It's generated pressure. It is really, really good on third down, and it has stuffed offenses. However, this is going to be a Georgia Southern Eagle offense that's really going to be more dynamic than anything that the Bobcats have seen up to this point. So this is definitely going to be a very interesting contest here, but the matchup where I think things are going to be won is when Georgia Southern has the ball. Can this Bobcat defense stop them? Can this Georgia Southern offense not turn the ball over and take advantage? Leads me on into, gotta transition over here, leads me into my what to watch for, your keys to the game, whatever you want to call them. It's just some things I think you should keep an eye on while you're paying attention to this one. We'll go through them rather quickly here. For the Georgia Southern Eagles, Davis Brin, I've talked about it all video long, has to limit turnovers. As long as he can limit turnovers and just continue to be a game managing or even game breaking quarterback, because Davis Brin throughout his career has shown the ability that he can let things rip and create the big plays and break games wide open. If Davis Brin can do that while limiting turnovers, that's interceptions and fumbles, this might get out of hand here pretty quickly with the Eagles riding out to a win. I've talked about it in this video before. The playmakers are athletic, but it's going to be really hard to beat this Bobcat defense. I know one of their leaders in Kie Thompson is gone, but a lot of great talent is still here on this Bobcat defense. Things are going to be really, really hard for Georgia Southern to move the football, especially if you plan on trying to run against this Bobcat team, which I know Georgia Southern isn't going to try to do, but you are going to need some explosive runs from your running back room in order to force the issue. And speaking of forcing the issue, you got to be able to get into the backfield, let Parker Navarro feel it. Whoever happens to play running back or is not going to have played a lot this season at all, if they've even played at all. So generate pressure, get into the backfield, generate negative plays. That's what not the Golden Eagles, that's what the Eagles defense will have to do. Offensively for the Bobcats, it's got to pick up its production. The defense has done enough to help the Bobcats win plenty of games, but the offense, even with all of those guys that I've said earlier that are entering the transfer portal, like Bangura and Allison and Cross, and even that quarterback in Rourke, it has been very slow offensively. Who knows what Parker Navarro is going to give this team. He's going to need to manage the game and find his explosive wide receivers. I know Miles Cross is gone, but like I've talked about, still a lot of good talent in this wide receiver room. The running back room, yeah, you're going to need some production from back there as well, but they're probably going to want to try to lean on Parker Navarro, finding some of these explosive wide receivers and let the wide receivers go get yards after the catch and go make plays. But as I've talked about, the defense loses some key pieces too. Thompson was a very, very good player, very good leader to this team. And then Cox, only 9 tackles on the year, but when he played, his presence was definitely felt. Now, there are still a lot of great players here, including their leading tackler in Bryce Houston. And I think the Bobcats defense has enough here to be able to keep this game close. I just think with all the talent that the Bobcats lost offensively, I think it's going to be really hard for them to score. I am very unsure of what this Bobcat team is going to get from Parker Navarro, and this is definitely a more explosive offense than what the Bobcats are used to facing from some of these teams in the Mid-American Conference. So for all of those reasons, I am going with the Georgia Southern Eagles to win the Myrtle Beach Bowl. 24-21 is the way that I see this game playing out. I do think the Bobcat defense is going to be able to slow down the Eagles at some point, and it is Georgia Southern. They haven't shown me all year they can limit turnovers. I don't think they do it here. I do think they lose the turnover battle, but I don't think Ohio has enough offensive production to be able to go get enough points than what they need to do to be able to win this game. So for all those reasons, I got the Eagles winning this one 24-21. Let me know how you see this game playing out in the comment section below. And hey, as always, remember to play hard but tailgate harder. 2 more bowl game predictions coming out today. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.